Hello, I just thought I'd talk to you today about something which I get frequently asked as a Reiki Master, and that is if people are doing it right. Now, it was something that I thought when I was first starting Reiki, and it's something I seem to be asked by absolutely every student that I have. So I thought I'd come on and just discuss a couple of wee things which I hope will explain why we have this question and that, yes, in fact, you are doing it right. The first thing is that with all spiritual aspects, be it mediumship, cards, healing, it's all about the intention that you put out there. So by simply wishing to heal somebody or simply wishing to help the person, be it yourself for self-healing or be it somebody sitting in front of you, that simple intention is in a way providing the healing. So it's proven that it works, that you're doing it right. Now beyond that, I was recently in a class for mediumship, and somebody asked when they were trained to do healing, they were told that they should open up, be it with a prayer or be it opening up the chakras, do their healing, and they should close down. And they were asking the teacher why the teacher never did closing prayer or did any form of closing down when it was expected of them when they came to do healing, which is quite standard practice. I mean, I myself would encourage my students to ground to start with, to put on protection, to attune, which is your opening prayer, and then obviously you need permission either during distant healing or permission from the person that's sitting in front of you. Sometimes even just permission from yourself. You might think that you're ready to heal something from your past when in actual fact it's just not the right time for it to happen. So there's lots of different ways in which you can be taught how to do healing. There's lots of different ways in which you can be guided to do certain aspects like grounding, attuning, protecting and permission. But there is no real wrong way of doing it. Now, to go back to this question in the class, the girl was obviously coming from a situation where she'd been told, right, you open up and you close down, and various different prayers or processes in between. Right, that's fine. But the answer she received from the teacher, which was quite interesting for me, was that he didn't believe that he needed to open up in prayer or close in prayer, because in the morning when he got up, he opened his day in prayer. Before he went to bed at night, he closed his day in prayer. So to ask if you're doing it right, it's very important to realise that there is no right and wrong way of doing it. Now, when you're first starting with something new, then it's very good and very helpful to have a process. It's very good to have, right, okay, if you do X, Y happens. If you do Z, C happens. You know, we always look for a kind of an on and off switch, a way of how to use machinery, a way of how to put together a flat pack. This is just how life is. There's a right and a wrong way to do things. That's how we're kind of trained in the physical world. And for the most part, that is true. There is a right way and a wrong way to treat people. There's a right and a wrong way to physically operate a machine. There's like, you need a license to drive a car, so there's rules for the road. You know, this is how we're programmed. But when it comes to spiritual stuff, especially with healing and mediumship and cards and stuff like that, I know this is about Reiki is specifically, but when it comes to the spiritual world, there's not really a right and wrong way of doing it. It's simply the intention that you put into the process that you want to achieve. So if you want to if you're doing self-healing and you want to know if you're doing it right, some people straight off the bat who have no previous experience in any sort of spiritual environment will automatically feel the energy. They will automatically feel hot in their hands. They'll feel cold in their hands. They'll feel their guides come in close. Maybe they'll see their guides. And for those people, that it's fabulous because they know that they're switched on. They know that it's working. They can feel. They have some sort of proof, if you like. But for a lot of people who maybe don't have an awful lot of experience with meditation, who don't have an awful lot of experience with spiritual stuff, then they don't automatically feel, or they'll feel something but they doubt it. And what I'm trying to say is that Some people don't feel anything at all. I know a fabulous healer over on the West Coast who has been healing for, I think, upwards of 20 years and has had some fabulous, amazing results, but he doesn't feel anything. Now, he's been doing it for all that time. He could sit down with me and I will give him a healing, and he knows he's had a healing, but he doesn't feel anything. Now, the next day he'll feel, better, or he'll feel uplifted, or whatever he needed to get from that. He'll be aware of it the next day. But while he's actually sitting there receiving the healing, he doesn't feel a thing, and he's been doing it for like a really long time. And it's the same when he works. It's the same when he's working. He doesn't feel anything, but he trusts it and he knows it's working. So if you are one of, or future will be one of, the Reiki 1 students, and you want to know if you're doing it right, set the intention that you want to give yourself healing. Set the intention that you want to give the client healing. Set the intention that you want to, well, you won't have a client at Reiki 1, but set the intention that if your mum's got a sore head and you want to try and bring her some relief, set the intention that you're going to do it for the greatest and the highest good for that person, and it will work. You may not feel it, you just need to trust it. And hopefully, if you are having doubts about whether it's working for you, or whether whether it's just in your head, then talk to your guides. Tell them, right, okay, look, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Please give me some sort of sign or recognition that what I'm doing is working, right? I know of somebody who was sending out distant healing, and they were quite new to doing it. They didn't really know if they were doing it right or if it was getting there. The person that was receiving it maybe wasn't aware because they weren't in the movement. They maybe didn't have healing before or whatever. So what the practitioner did was he challenged his guides, and he said, right, look, I need to know this is getting to the person. The person needs to know it's getting to the person. So I'm going to send this every night for a week at 9 o'clock, say. And I want that person to feel a twitch. Just a little twitch in their eye or a little twitch in their cheek, so that when I go back to them and I say to them, right, okay, did you feel anything at 9 o'clock on that particular night? And they turn around and they say, oh, well, do you know what, I had this funny twitch in my face. Then he knew, which is what actually happened, which is what came back. He knew that that person had received it. And he was able to turn around and tell that person, well, do you know what, I asked them to do that because you needed to know that I was doing it, and I needed to know that you were getting it. So yeah, like I say, there is no right and wrong way of doing it. I would actively encourage you, if you don't open up your day as that teacher does, where you open in prayer in the morning and you close in prayer, then I would actively encourage you to consciously ground yourself, to consciously bring in whatever form of protection that you use. It could be an angel, it could be a spirit animal, it might just be the old advert of the Scottish Widow, where she's wearing the big cloak, the kind of hooded cloak, and you see her, it's up over her head. So you may decide that that's how you'd like to bring in your protection, where you're putting on this cloak. It's just a calling card for spirit to let them know that you don't want anything kind of reaching your energy other than what you're sending out. So ground yourself, attune yourself. Attunement is your prayer. Now, the thing is that, and I was saying this last night to one of my students, it's all about what feels right for you and what works for you. And obviously when it's early days, you haven't really got that much experience. But hopefully everybody has a gut feeling. So you'll know sometimes where you'll just be aware of something, or you'll think of somebody and then the phone will ring and it'll be them, or something will pop into your head and all of a sudden there it is on the telly. Well, all these little things are signs from spirit and guidance that you're tuned into your own energy. So just listen to the pit of your stomach. And even though I've said, right, okay, ground, attune, protect, and permission, or I've given you or even if you're watching this and you're not one of my students, you'll have been given the hand positions, and you've been maybe told, right, you have to stay there for 20 seconds, for example, and you want to stay there for a minute. There's a reason why you want to do that. So do it. It doesn't make it wrong. You might go up to somebody's crown chakra, their crown chakra even. Let's get this right. Go up to their crown chakra or their third eye, and you may not want to stay there for particularly long. Now, when I'm sitting and somebody's giving me healing, I get really sensitive here and I get really sensitive here. So if somebody comes too close, then I really don't like it. So it could be that you're getting like the energy gets too intense, and it's almost like I'm being pushed back. So it's very possible that you're picking up either on the person, or you're picking up on spirit. You're being guided in some way to move on to the next thing. So just because you've been told to stay there for 20 seconds doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. Just move on to the next thing. And if you feel you need to go back to it, then that's perfectly fine. But listen to the pit of your stomach, listen to your gut, and it'll not send you too far astray. It'll show you what's right, and it'll show you what you need to do. So hopefully that has made sense to you. And if you have any questions at all, if you still don't believe that you're doing it right, then what I would recommend, and what I do recommend in my courses, is that you do regular meditation. So you spend, even if it's only 5 minutes every night or every morning. Well, actually, it's better to do it in the morning, because then there's less likelihood of you falling asleep. But you just spend 5 minutes where you calm the mind and just go to your quiet place and just let yourself be at peace. Just give your mind that space. And when you go to that place, that's the same place you go to pretty much when you're doing healing. It's the same place you go to when you're doing giving somebody a message. So by practicing that and by doing your meditation, then that will help you to get to that place, which will then increase your connection to spirit, and it'll also allow you to be able to feel the energy and to be more aware of what's going on when it comes to working with either giving yourself self-healing or giving somebody healing that's sitting in the chair. So like I say, if you have any questions, if I haven't explained anything, or you want some more information about anything I have said, then please feel free to either leave me a comment or drop me a wee private message, and I'll hopefully be able to answer your question for you. So have a fabulous day, and I hope whatever you're doing is wonderful and bright and brings you happiness. Many blessings to you all.